We are live. Hello. Hey, guys. Hello, hello. Musashi here. Is everyone here on stage? Or are you guys available? Hello, hello.
Yes, hello. We can hear you.
There we go. There's the team.
Hi, Musashi.
Okay. Hey, man. So we are live. As always, we're waiting for people to trickle in. So let's give that a minute. In the meantime, hey, Doug, Fernio, Hosha, Kudo, and Pramstone. How are you guys?
Hello.
How's life?
Hello.
Good, everything good.
Hello.
Live and alive. Both at the same
Hello,
time at the same
hello.
time.
That's awesome.
We
Yeah,
have a
cool.
really bad weather down here in Santiago, so we're freezing to death.
That can be a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, we need cold
Sometimes.
and we need rain. Let's see. Who's on Discord? Can you guys check out who's in Discord? Say hello.
Yeah, subspace is there, and Distor is there, and then we have others just arriving to watch the live stream. And we even just to remind everyone from the community, you can send questions here in Discord, but also in the YouTube comment section. So post anything that there for answers later.
Got it. Thank you, Doc Sunny. First a disclaimer, I'm getting out of a cold right now, so if my voice cracks or, I don't mute myself before coughing, let me know. Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you guys for coming in. Welcome. I think we should just get started. Welcome to our second Mirandus Town Hall. On today, June 26th. We'll be here to share what's going on with the game, answer questions, present some exciting news, and talk to the team, right? Uh, just as an FYI, though, there will be a town hall for Tweety mid-July. So if some of you guys also play The Walking Dead, be on the lookout for that. That team will present also some news and what's coming up with a game mid-July. Apart from that, please like and subscribe. As I always say, if I don't say that, Paul hits me on the head, and I don't want to, anger Paul. He controls all the live streams. So please like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get started. What do you guys think?
Let's
Sounds good.
go.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, let's start with some headlines. The team hosted in internal company playtest maybe 2 weeks ago. Tons of feedback, suggestions, and back reports. Fernando, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, so we had a very fun and informative playtest with people from all over Gala, where they could experience the game in its current form, and we could all discuss about which parts were working well, which ones needed some tuning and bug fixing, and which ones needed maybe a bit more thought put into them. So, fun times.
Yeah, I participated in that. It was kind of fun. There are obviously some issues. We're still checking the back end on the servers. There are some uh, projectiles that don't disappear, so they are kind of stuck in the air. So that's interesting. So tons of things to fix, but also some good things there.
Like
It was,
stability. It's very good stability now.
yeah, it was a good time.
Yes.
So we have some more information about that soon. I think even today. So just wait up. Then we've been doing art exploration for armors and weapons, progression. Uh, what can you tell me about that, Fernio?
Yeah, yeah. The team has been very busy since the last town hall. Of course, um, we have some images of what they've been working on, but they've been working on multiple development fronts. On the art side, they've been doing a series of explorations around character designs, aiming to improve the models based on technical requirements that we have and also the game's lore so that everything fits. And they've also been working on environment designs, studying the tuning parameters that we have in the lighting system so that we can achieve dark and visually interesting nights. Um, we have a video on the night part coming up. I think it looks pretty
Yeah,
good.
we're seeing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, as I was saying, we're trying to keep as close as possible to the idea of very dark nights, but we have to let the art also come through the darkness and let the players see that they are still in the world of Mirandus. Well, and on the design side, most of the work has centered around designing and documenting the armors and weapons progression uh, that we need to have in place. And for engineering, a lot of the work has gone into preparing our build pipeline and fixing uh, various system bugs that we have been finding along the way. So that's with the current work.
So that was pretty dark, right? I'd be a little scared to be in the world of Mirandus at night, unless I had like a good source of light. I know that we've adding a bunch of stuff. There were like northern lights. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that yet. But yeah, I'm seeing good progress on the art side, and the engineers I know that are really hard at work. So that's great. Thank you for that. Which leads me to the next point, which is roadmaps, right? So what I did for Common Ground and Box with those teams was try to come up with a reasonable roadmap, which is not set in stone, right? Things can change because things change along the way, every month, every 2 months, or whatever. Things can be moved, but it's good to have a guiding principle regarding the roadmap and what we're building, how we're building it, in what order. So I want to do the same. You agreed, Fernio. So do we have news regarding a roadmap for Mirandus?
Yeah, we've created our roadmap for the rest of the year, and we want now to share it with the community. So, this is it, our
This is good
roadmap.
news.
Yeah, our roadmap for the second half of the year. We've set ourselves 4 internal milestones, each one covering a high priority aspect of the game's development. Um, The main objective of milestone 1 is to test the release pipeline and make sure we can operate it without error, so that when we get our first new features implemented, we are confident we can get them included in a release ready build and deliver it to the players' hands. And speaking of release ready builds, that takes me to the second objective of milestone 1, which is engineering analytics. When we talk about engineering analytics, we mean doing measurements about how well the game is running on players' machines and in our servers. We're talking about frame rate, latency, CPU and GPU load, and anything that could impact the player's experience while playing the game. So very fundamental to have that in place. And the third objective for milestone 1 is to recover some core gameplay mechanics that we've seen working on footage from previous playtests and that for some reason were not working anymore when we started testing the game ourselves. So that's been an ongoing effort already. And yeah, that's it for milestone 1.
And it's looking good, by the way. The recovering of the core gameplay loop mechanics with the internal playtest, we could witness that.
Wait, is
Exactly.
that Crownstone?
Yes.
Is that so? Crownstone talking production, of course. It's like, yeah, we're on track. It's looking good. Like,
Exactly.
dude, such a producer. Okay, please, Bernard, go on.
Thanks. So for milestone 2 then is about continuing on that core gameplay loop development path by defining a basic set of weapons, armors, and food crafting recipes, and setting up these items with some temporary art, so we can do a first pass on the gameplay mechanics on them. So we need to focus on speed, and sometimes that means not having the perfect solution, but rather the best one for the moment. And then for milestone 3, we want to dedicate time to doing an iteration on the combat mechanics of the game, which seem to be in the same state they were doing the last playtest. And we have found them to be a bit lacking on gameplay depth. So we want to focus on them soon. And for our 4th internal milestone, we're aiming to create a basic deed and building placement system for a core selection of buildings, mostly the ones related to providing said weapons, armor, and food to the players. So that's what our current roadmap looks like for the rest of the year. And now, if you don't mind, Musashi, I want to pass the mic to Cramstone so he can talk about the upcoming playtests with the community.
Oh
Cramstone?
yes, playtests. Yes.
What? Wait, this is
Yeah.
like current playtest with the community because someone was asking about that in Discord right now.
Yes, actually, I think there were one or two questions about future playtests. Yes, we were planning our internal playtest first, so we wanted to know how everything was moving, the state of everything, and since it was successful internally, and by successful I mean mainly stability and core features for the game loop, which was what Fernio was just talking about. And yes, we are focusing on stabilizing the server so we can support more players because the test was internal, and I think we were like 50 or so people connected simultaneously. So we need to support more than that. And we are conducting thorough quality checks on the client app. So we want something as pristine as possible so we can run updates with the community. So we are planning to have first playtest near the end of August. That's what we're aiming for now. And for that, we would like to have something to show. It would be nice for the community to see something new. But we are focusing on stability. Pardon if I am repeating myself, but that's the keyword, stability. And also, we are planning second places by the end of the year. This year, of course, not the next one. This here. And for that, we expect to have some core mechanics like harvesting and some kind of combat. The combat thing is something I becoming a fan of. It was very fun to see everyone around. We were shooting arrows between ourselves to test that. That was what Musashi was mentioning about the projectiles. So we were all with arrows uh, all over the model. Everyone looks like a cactus, and that was pretty fun. But yes, how that part is moving forward as expected. So yes, we want to have these two playtests this year, the end of August, and the second playtest by the end of the year. Of course, we'll keep you posted as dates get closer, so definitely stay tuned. The road to Mirandus is long, it's challenging, but we're definitely moving forward steadily.
Okay. So, end of August and then end of the year, two playtests, public playtests. We want everybody to join and try to destroy this thing. You will see some iterations of gameplay, but remember that we're fixing a bunch of stability issues that the game has had historically, right? So there's a lot of back end work that you may not see. Uh, New art, new game mechanics. That's awesome. That's pretty good. So our idea, correct me if I'm wrong, Crumbstone, is to do these playtests and eventually just have the game open for everybody at some point later, yeah, right?
Sorry, I couldn't get the last phrase.
The idea would be that at some point, not this year because we have these two playtests, but at some point have the game open and maybe do more tests
Yes,
openly, right?
yes, definitely. Actually, one thing that it's it's getting stronger for with in within the development process is that we build a strong QA pipeline, and it's giving us a lot of work, but also it's giving a lot of stability for the client and the server, and that means that we are going to deliver something with the highest quality possible, and that's a lot of work, but it's going to be a better result. So yes, the answer is yes.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. So that's
Thank
exciting
you.
news. I've been seeing the movement in the game, not directly. You know that I'm overseeing several projects, but I did play in the playtest. It was interesting. Being with a lot of people. What, like, we had 50 people at some point, more.
Yes.
We fought some wisps, and it was pretty fun. So yeah, it's moving forward, which is great. But we're also creating this foundational base with pipelines, QA, better backend, and servers to support more people, and that it's not necessarily noticeable, but it's really important. I'm only mentioning that because I've been hearing lately that you guys care about even the smallest details that we believe that may be boring. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Cool. So is that everything around roadmap and playtests?
Yes, and the devil is on the details.
Yeah, of course. Oh, of course, definitely. Before that, we move on to the next one. I just wanted to mention that we're still staffing up. I've heard some questions about that from the community. So we have a couple positions open. We have already filled a couple of them, but we're not expecting to grow too much more, right, Fernio?
We filled more than a couple positions. We've been joined by people this week, and two more next week. So that's a good chunk of new team members. But we need to get a stronger headcount on the art side of the team. So we are looking for those kinds of professionals, and and we still need an engineer or two there on the team.
Right. Yeah. So stuffing up. The team is growing. It's not gonna be, the same amount as the previous team, but it's we still have a couple of positions open in art and in engineering. We have, you know, I don't know if you guys are in Chile. We're looking for people in Santiago. So if you see those job postings in LinkedIn, you can share them around. We're actively looking, and yeah, it's been an interesting process getting people to join our game. Everyone seems to like the RPG, the look of the game, the art, and so on.
Yes, indeed, more than I thought, actually. Quite impressive.
Okay, so why don't we move on to some questions? Is that correct?
Yeah, we
Yes.
have a bunch of questions already posted. There were quite a few about roadmap and playtest, so I think we addressed those already, right? But I know that the rest of the team also selected a few questions themselves for answering now, so I think we could pass the mic on to Kuro. How are
All
you?
right, I'm fine, thank you. All right, so I'm going to start with the first one. It is related to buildings and their dependencies. For example, does a bakery gonna need to have a granary, or is a bread stand gonna need a bakery? The same question also is meant for stands, battery barns, etc. So yeah, there's gonna be a certain degree of dependency. That's mainly because we want to aim to emulate a real world economy and also experience. So normally a baker, for example, who is a bread making expert, once he wants to dedicate his whole life towards honing his craft, right? So to dedicate most of his time to do that, he will just try buying raw materials from a trusted supplier and also as cheap as possible, instead of him having like this part-time job working on a mill turning wheat into flour. The next question is about taverns. It is previously it's been mentioned that taverns are just gathering places, but they will have earning mechanisms from tavern games and food, right? Most likely, yes, but there's no final definition regarding taverns at the time. The following one is regarding storehouses. Okay, so is a storehouse a storage for the owner only, or is it a place like a bank deposit box? I would say that at first it should be for the owner only, okay? But we have already been discussing about the possibility of letting other players purchase or lease a certain amount of slots to store whatever they want to. The next one is, will you guys be making a rare item by combining these really famous NFTs called Mother's Blood and Mother's Crown from the last playtest? While we haven't discussed about this yet, we will most likely give those items a really good in-game use. We have also another regarding deeds. So basically, people are asking if you are going to be able to store things on their deeds, and also if people is going to be able to cook or sleep in them. Most likely, deed owners will have their own storage. We haven't discussed anything yet related to cooking or sleeping, but it could be a possibility in the future. Another one is related to the usage and placement of docks and ships. Just to be clear, guys, while there were few conversations regarding those NFTs, all of our current efforts are put into creating Mirandus core experience. As you well saw, the roadmap doesn't have anything to do with ships or docks. But this means that we want to start working on land deeds and buildings first, and then move on to water deeds, ships, etc. And the last one that I'm going to answer right now is regarding the armors. Will the colors on armor or clothes be customizable or fixed? I'm going to answer this one with an example. We aim for colors to be fixed at first, because that way it will be way easier for you as a player showing off like how awesome your golden armor looks. And also having these fixed colors allows our team to keep focused and on track developing Miranda's core features. So hopefully you heard the one that you posted, and if not, maybe you get it answered by Josha.
Oh, maybe not. We'll see.
You can leave this in a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Okay. So, I have 4 questions that I chose from the list. It was a long list, so thanks to everyone who sent a question for the team. So the first one is, when will the sales for the remaining buildings take place? Tanneries, outfitters, and stonecrafts. So right now we won't be selling those yet. Most likely we will be selling them in the future, but our priority is to have clear definitions of those buildings, what are they going to be used for, the impact that they're going to have in the Mirandus economy, and also we're trying to prioritize the ones that are already sold. So they're still there. We are going to be waiting a bit, but once we decide to sell them, we're going to let you know. So don't worry. The second one is there is lots of concern around a season pass structure. Can you give us more details on what that would entail, such as worldwide resets, stat resets, special items, etc., and how long seasons would be? So I know where this question is coming from. So we are aware of this discussion. We saw you talking about this on Discord. And I know this is coming from a screenshot from the post on the blog, because the screenshots have a timer on the corner that says season ending in, I think it was 9 days. So just to be clear, the internal playtest was meant for basic testing, as Fernio already described, and seasons were not part of this testing at all, even though the timer appears in the screenshots and in the videos. So we know this could be a monetization alternative in the future, but right now it's not something that we have discussed. So please don't worry about that timer for now. I know you guys saw it, but yeah, it's not something that we wanted to test, and those 9 days don't mean anything for now. So don't worry. The third question is, how will this economy be better than all of the other failed economies in games? So what we are doing right now is that we're just starting to work on the basics of our tokenomics. And again, I would like to thank all the people from the community that has sent documents, ideas, and more regarding this subject. But even though our tokenomics model is not yet defined, what we are doing is to look into other models that have failed. And of course, we are going to try to avoid making similar mistakes. So yeah, we are going to try to do our best to have an economy that works. And we'll see how that goes. But we are trying to not repeat mistakes from the past. And the last question.
Sorry to interrupt, but part of that is we're bringing in people like you and others who are experts at math, right? We have PMs from the other projects too who are really good, and we have conversations between each other on these topics. So we're aiming to hopefully, not only not repeat the mistakes, but bring in people that can potentially find an answer, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for that.
Actually, yes, because of the people involved, I'm fully confident that the result is going to be as good as possible, definitely.
We'll try to do our best. We're actually doing that, so yeah. Hopefully it will be a good economy. And the last question is, explain the vision of the cemetery tokenomics. So far, we haven't changed much regarding cemeteries. So we are keeping what was already implemented, but we will probably need to fine tune a couple of things once we choose our global tokenomics model for the game. And this means that for now, both the cemeteries and the purgatories are working just as before. So the purgatory is charging you Materium if you want to respawn immediately. And for cemeteries, people can just pay a fee to set a certain cemetery as a respawn point. So once you respawn, you appear in that cemetery instead of a random place or a set a respawn point where you start at the beginning. And this is how the cemetery owners could monetize these buildings. But again, this could change in the future since we haven't chose the tokenomics model yet. But yeah, this is how it's working at the moment. And that's it. Those are my answers.
Very good answers.
Okay, so we have some live questions, I think. Let's see, there was someone asking, So no water deeds and no boats on the roadmap at all. Well, I think we mentioned that already, that we're focusing on core, right? So the game as we got it had very basic combat. I think that it had no deep placement at all. Um,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of content missing, right? So we need to build the core of the game, and that's what's taking up most of this year, right? Because we need combat, we need deep placement, we need a way for people to interact with those buildings. We need to create more zones and so on, right? Harvesting mechanics. So those are all core mechanics, in my opinion. Boats, as far as I understood it from the former team, boats was not considered core. It was something that was added later. So we'll get to it when we get to it. Right now, we need to make sure that the core experience is sound. So that I think that answers that question. Let's see. Any other question? I see Rusty saying, I don't like the response. Both dogs are a core mechanic. That's fine. We can disagree, but we cannot work in every single feature at the same time, right? I don't think that's part of the actual core mechanic of the game because it ties into something um, in the game that should come later, um, which is sailing and so on. So we will not work on that right now. Um, Plus, we need focus, right? I would be lying if I told you guys, yeah, we're gonna just tackle everything this year. And it's gonna be great, blah blah blah. And I'm not a snake oil salesman, right? Um, we never had it see that in the other games. We try to be as accurate as possible and not hype things up when they're not hypeable. So I just cannot devote the resources to work on that when the core is not working, right? So yeah, that's I see another answer here. The core mechanic is the game as an ecosystem. By that logic, we'll have to build the whole game right now this month, right? And we can't do that. We need to build this thing piece by piece, and we need to start by the pieces that are more central to the ecosystem, right? So we will get there. Just we need to build the other things first. You need to traverse the world. You need to be able to fight. You need to be able to place down buildings, harvest, right? You need to be able to take quests and so on.
One step at a time.
Exactly. Let's see. Daksani, are there any other questions?
Yeah, there's a early question about will there be any earning like past playtests where you got like a little bit of material per exemplar? Any plans about that for the future?
I can answer that one. I
Right.
sent a message on Discord regarding this. So since these things happened before we were here, we are trying to track all the material that was given in the previous playtests. And this is a discussion that we still need to have. But as I said on Discord, we want things that don't have a great impact in our economy. So we need to be very sure if we are going to do any, if we're going to give any material at all or anything else. So yeah, this is something that we need to analyze before giving an answer. And as I said, we're also trying to track what was given in the past. So yeah, we need to see. But if we decide to give something, of course, we're going to let you guys know.
Cool. And there, I think Subspace just posted again, and I do have here. Subspace want to know about if the game will be like a living ecosystem where the creatures, the animals are going to do their own thing. Like for example, if you hunt too many wolves, then the deer population is going to explode. This kind of interaction that we saw in other games in the past.
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yes, that's the initial intention. We have seen already some implementation regarding that, but it's not final. And obviously, that's going to take a lot of testing. see how you guys as players behave with that in order to create some rules that don't break the ecosystem. Like for example, let's imagine that you gather your 100 friends and start wiping with every living thing that's on there. We need to see what we can do in those kind of cases, maybe to spawn a really scary monster and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the intention behind Mirandus and its world.
A few very specific questions, like for example, any ideas of how the cartographer class will work?
Whoa, that's a tough one. We have
Yeah.
had some really deep conversation related to that particular exemplar, but there's nothing final yet. I don't want to spoil anything that we have been talking about. We still need to do a really huge amount of things before we say something final regarding the cartographer.
Hmm. And there is just because that was the first question posted there and got kind of lost there in the list. But Subspace was also asking about quest givers. So I don't know how it's gonna work inside the game. Like we're gonna have like NPCs giving quests, or this is not the case, or that's just like what's the normal game is gonna be.
I mean, at first, we won't be having any NPCs, and also no quest system so far. Maybe in the future we add something. Maybe we deliver those kind of mechanics through lore, or someone from the world comes to you and say, "Hey, I saw this really big scary monster, and it's basically wiping everything around. We need to gather the best and finest warriors to go and defeat that." So that's the kind of experience we want to give to players at first. But as we told earlier, this might change in the future depending of how players behave and also the ecosystem.
Cool. Yeah, these are the main questions that I have from before, from the beginning of the live stream. So passing back to you.
Okay, cool. So I have we've answered I think most of the questions. The preset. Remember that we have a form for each one of these things. So when we do another town hall, use that to send your questions. We also answer some live. Uh, but if you have any final questions, just do them now before we go. Um, Fernio, am I missing something from our checklist to go over?
I think that was it. I hope it's been a very informative town hall. And I want to thank everyone for joining.
Okay, let's give it a second in case someone else wants to answer. Sorry, to ask something. But let's recap. So we have a 4 milestone plan for this year. We have one playtest plan for end of August, so one for the end of the year. We'll open it up to everybody, right?
Mhm.
And we're concentrating on the core of the game this year because most of the core is just not there, right? It's not a compelling game yet. With combat missing a bunch of stuff, no placement. We need to fix those things first. But we want you guys to play the game as soon as possible. We'll figure out how to make it worth your while too. And let's see now if there are any new questions. Duck Sunny? I see one. Colin Swift. Will the exemplars be gender fluid? I don't think so. I think that right now they're male or female. I don't think there's any plans to change that. I'm sorry if that's what you want. Um, right, Matt? Let's see. Kuro?
Yes, you are right about that.
Yeah. Horses. Well, horses are also not core. We'll get to them at some point, as well as boats. Have you considered bringing in professional economists to help figure out the economy? That's something we need to discuss with Gala at large. We had some people who understood economy better. We have people who understand math really well in this team and the rest of the Chilean studio. But I think it would be a good help to get uh, some economists to help out too, or at least review what we have. Otherwise, as Josha was saying, you guys are having a great help sending all your info, all your feedback. So let's see. Sana is a little cheeky saying, feels like every question is we don't know yet. Well, the reason for that is that we're fixing the base of the game. When we got the game, was basically, you know, it was not much different from what you probably saw a year ago in a previous playtest. There are some things that have been broken uh, because there was an expectation to build something different. For example, combat is a different set of what you played before, and most of it was not working. So um, we kind of worry too much about the extreme future when we need to fix the second to second interactions of the game, traversing, fighting, interacting with buildings, and so on. So I'm sorry if you don't get definitive answers right now, but we'll get there. Let's see. What does a barn do? I have no idea. I mean, probably related to uh, something we'll discuss later. Sarah says hold animals. Yeah, that makes sense. I see fan fiction for Mirandus lore. We do have extensive documentation from former narrative director about what the plans were for um, for narrative. We can't go into those details because, of course, spoilers. But yeah, we love the feedback. Let's see. More question on bards. I again not core, right? Mm.
A few mentions about the horses and in general about the game.
I'm sorry.
There were a few mentions about the horse NFTs in game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this before. But I worked
Okay.
in a horse racing game, said run NFT horse racing game from VHS. So I have some ideas there. There we had horse lending. You had, you know, you could, they could have little horses. You could make them run. They have different attributes. So there are a bunch of things that we can do with the horses. Um, and we'll get there. When we get there, we'll inform it. I feel like, just gonna be honest, guys. Sometimes you guys are like, "Wait, what happened to this very specific thing that I bought and this NFT for boats or sails for horses?" Like, I need a strict definition now. It's like, well, that's not how the game development works, right? Um, we are building this world from what was left before. We're improving the stability of the code, and we need to figure out if many of the designs that were left before still make sense. Some of them don't even exist, right? It's like, yeah, we'll have horses, but there's no more depth behind that. Do they run? Do they have stamina? Can they carry weight? Right? Those things were not defined. So we need to define those, but we need to use our time properly in making sure that the things that we're doing second to second are tight. And that's what the team is working on and what the playtests will be for this year. Let's see. Any other final questions? HB says horse racing betting coming soon. I think that makes sense in a fantasy world, right? Like you have horses, you make them run. But of course, I wouldn't do that before deep placement. Cool. If there are no more questions, sorry for my voice cracking with this cold. Um, let's see. Sandra say, hope you guys keep in mind about these NFTs based on specific details. Yeah, I mean there are some that have very specific details. Some do not, right? The many of them are actually very vague, right? And there are actually contradictory statements regarding what they're supposed to do and many people have different opinions on what they should do. So we're we're trying to honor everything that is very strictly stated and designed, and for the ones that are not, then we need to build something that hopefully pleases everybody. So just to make sure that we're clear, like some NFTs are very vague, and I personally, as a game designer, I don't like that at all. When I sell something, I want it to be very clear what it does, right?
Yeah, to
Okay.
second to that, Musashi, yeah, we've been really hard with Hosha talking about how we can make everything that we already sold to work.
That's
Because,
true.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of contradictory sometimes definition or sometimes things related to design that might potentially not make so much sense in Mirandus world. So there's a lot of things that we need to like gather, take our time to think about them, and obviously we will keep in mind that you guys bought those based on certain details.
Yeah, we actually spent a lot of time first, like tracking all the characteristics and all the public promises, where you guys also helped sending some information. And as Kuro said, yeah, we spent some time discussing the way that things should work, but without changing much the description of the things that you guys purchased, but trying to make them work and not overlapping in the function that every building or every deed or every exemplar has. So it's been a lot of work. It's a lot of things that were sold, a lot of buildings, a lot of deeds, a lot of exemplars. But it's something that we've been working on pretty hard. So yeah.
Okay, I see there's a Rusty Sport NFT promise. Someone says he was promised an NFT when he clicks in game, it resets Rusty to level one. I'm not sure if that's a joke or not. Like, if you
It's
were actually promised that,
that's not on
what?
my list. So no, fake news, fake news.
Fake news.
Fake
My
news.
God, really?
Yeah, if it's not on my list, it's not official.
If you have any proof, Rusty, that that's actually an NFT that was promised, let us know. Let us know. Let's see. Las Vegas Land says, "Yeah, man, I know you want traversing beyond walking. I think I've mentioned this several times right now. Like, we'll get there. Just when we're hoping to launch this game at some point officially beyond beta, and it should have horses, it should have sailing. Um, but initially, if we're doing simple playtest, either closed with some community members or open, we can just have cheats, or we can have just walking around, right? So we cannot release this game without fulfilling those promises of boats or and horses. Okay, I see Subspace is saying, I'm satisfied, please come to God. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. As always, we're trying to be serious, professional, be as truthful as possible to what we're doing, what we're building, how we're building it, the timelines, and so on. We'll have more town halls, hopefully regularly, so that you guys get the information on, are we on track, not on track, everything's delayed, is there any change to the roadmap at all because of different reasons. So yeah, thank you for coming in, thank you for participating, and thank you to everyone on stage, Daksani, Farnil, Hosha, Kuro, Crumbstone, and of course Paul in my earpiece telling me that my laptop battery is dying. Thanks, man. Uh,
Now you know.
so, yeah, thank you, everyone. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next town hall. And the team will
Yes,
be in
like and subscribe. That's
yeah, the team
definitely.
will
We
be in
already
Discord.
did, so you have to also.
So, yeah, as you know, the team is coming into Discord regularly to share news on what we're working on. So keep expecting that. And just keep sending your feedback and your information. Really appreciate that. And with that, I'm closing the June 26th town hall for Mirandus. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone on stage.
Okay.
We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you,
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
Soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.